Just wondering if you had any starting lineup changes,
Jay Crowder for Marcus Smart.
and why did you decide to do that?
Well, I decided that yesterday, just because, Jay has been very good in this series, and could have gone a couple of different directions with that, but obviously it's just 5 more minutes where you're matched up a little bit more traditionally with them. But again, I don't think it's an exact science because our starts have been reasonable, but that's the decision we made, and we'll go from there.
And how's Jared Sullinger?
Jared Sullinger is doing some work right now, and I have not been told whether he's a go or not, but he feels better this morning is what he told me. So I'm sure Jeff will let you know right when Jared tells us.
Sherrod Blakely, Comcast Sportsnet. Coach, how close were you to making this particular lineup change before you decided to do it? Because I know you said it's been something you guys have thought about as far as making changes.
No, I thought about a couple of different ones, but this one, we've always discussed, but Jay has given us great boosts off the bench. Jay plays a lot of minutes for us. I don't think it changes us that much, to be honest. But, maybe we can get a little bit of a spark there. We'll see.
Coach, Joe Varden, Cleveland.com. With Jay in the lineup, will he start on LeBron, or will you still keep Evan on LeBron to start?
I don't know. We'll see. But I would say that most likely both guys will end up guarding him at different times.
Coach Bob Schramm, the Citizen. Has their ability to defend put an extra premium on your need to work the offense out to execute the offense? Is that something that...
We've got to execute a little bit better when things get tighter. We've got to execute a little bit better in their runs. I think we've discussed the how hurtful their runs have been against us. 8-0, 10-0, 12-0 runs. And if we can minimize those, right? And again, make them an 8-2 run or make them a 6-3 run instead of a 12-0 run, then I think we'll have a better chance. And, hey, it's going to take a lot of guts to stop a run by the individual that ultimately makes a shot and by the team to execute appropriately.
Paul Flannery, SB Nation. Have read. Just curious, I know you haven't been in this situation in the pros yet, but do you coach a little bit differently in what is essentially an elimination game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think, I guess the one thing that that I do have a lot of experience in is coaching in elimination games. I guess in college, every game you play in March is basically one. So no, I don't go about it much differently. I mean, obviously you're talking about adjustments. You're going through what you need to do better. You're going through small tweaks and changes that you want to do. But, this is about just playing a little bit better and, probably not overdoing it, right? I mean, the one thing we haven't been is out of it yet, right? We've been in all 3 games. We've had our moments where we've played really well. But can we play a little bit better? That's the challenge. And so for me to be different, for me to change, I don't think that would be a good thing right now. We're just going to keep doing what we do and focus on the day and try to play a little bit better.
Mark Murphy, Boston Herald. Brad, is moving Marcus back to the second group, is that maintaining the energy in that group?
Well, Marcus may not play early with that group. I don't know what we're going to do. Marcus was, and I told him I'd share this with you, Marcus was late to shoot around because he overslept. So we've been there before. This is not as I told Marcus, I'm not worried about him at all. This is not a big Marcus thing, and Jay Crowder would have started anyways. But, so we'll see when Marcus' opportunity comes.
Brad, Dave McMenamin, ESPN.com. After game 1, we asked, or some of the reporters asked Jay Crowder about how he was tussling and locking horns with LeBron, and basically he dismissed the question, didn't want to talk about it. And then after game 3, he was up where you're sitting right now and spoke, at length how he was, I guess, embracing that physical nature, said it's the best way to go against LeBron. Has something shifted, or I mean, just owning that way of playing it, admitting to it, is that significant for your team?
You know, I don't think it's. Well, first of all, I think you want to be a physical basketball team. I mean, you look across the playoffs, every team's a good physical team. And the one thing about this series is I think it's been good physical basketball by both teams. And I think both teams would acknowledge that, you know. And I think, you know, I haven't necessarily, don't know what the Cavs would say about it, but, you know, I think there have been some good hard fouls. You know, I think there's been one flagrant, but there's been just good, tough basketball on both ends, and you know, that's the one thing that you have to be appropriately physical, and you have to play with that edge, you have to play with that toughness. Certainly, you don't want to cross the line, but I think that, you know, he has to be able to know how he can best defend somebody, and obviously he can't foul LeBron, because LeBron will take advantage of that and get to the foul line. So he's got to be able to do that within the way the rules are. And Jay is a guy that I think is best because of his competitive spirit. And I think that competitive spirit is something that, you know, he wants to compete. And very rarely do you see a guy that wants to compete at that level that you would label soft. And I think that that's something that, you know, I doubt anybody's ever labeled Jay that.
Brad, Doug Tribou, NPR's Only a Game. The other night you talked a little bit about the issues of poise with the young team, but can you talk about the what you see in terms of their learning and growth in this short sample size over the 3 games?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is, and you know, hey, everything that we're doing, we're trying to get 8 points, 9 points better and try to get over this hump, right? But I think the biggest thing is this series and this team, with LeBron, with Love, with Irving, and with the guys that are all playing their roles so well around them, really stretches you. And as a result, the small tweaks and changes, every day we're able to reference new things that we're now seeing or we're able to do differently. And that growth for these guys is huge. And then the idea that we're seeing some things we didn't do as well, and can we change and be a little bit better? Can we be better in those 12-0 runs that we've seen at the end of the second quarter? Let's find out. You know, let's find out if we're better in those moments. Those are all things that you can talk about. And those are all things that we're very, you know, we're taking the emotions out of it as much as we can in coaching, and just this is what we need to do better to be more successful. And easier said than done. The other team's playing too, and the other team's awfully good.
Brad, Scal.
Hey, Scal. How you doing?
The thing I enjoy most about watching you coach is your ability to identify the other team's weaknesses and exploit that, whether it be in a pick and roll or whatever it may be.
Thanks.
Are you having a hard time finding something to exploit on this Cleveland defense?
I think we are. I think they are. They do a great job of shifting guys around. I think they're really well coached. I've talked about that. I think that they are very aggressive on all of our guys, and I think LeBron does a great job of communicating and directing in a lot of cases. There are certain things that we feel like we can do better, and there are certain things that we feel like we can consistently attack. But you've got to convert, and you've got to make sure that you're able to do that as much as humanly possible. And I think that that's the challenge. You know, they have a lot of strengths. Let's put it that way. And you know, their athleticism and their size, and that director there with athleticism, size, and the awareness is special.
Brad, Mark D'Amico, Celtics.com. Obviously, you don't want to be in a 3-game hole in a playoff series, but over the last couple of months, you guys have pretty much had your backs against the wall to try to get into the playoffs, battling an uphill climb. How have those 2 months maybe prepared you guys for a situation where you are against the wall in a playoff series, and maybe give you a little bit of comfort level in that situation?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. We'll find out. I think the way that I look at it is probably boring as heck, because it's just, this is our next game, this is our next day, this is what we need to do to be successful, and you do that until you don't have any games left. And but you know, again, I've left most of our games, or at least portions of our games, and certainly chunks of our games, very encouraged. But, you feel like you can do more when you're in a 3-possession game. You feel like you can make up those 3 possessions somewhere, somehow. And hopefully we can do that. But, again, easier said than done. We'll see.
Last question.
It's my last question. Can I ask 2? Okay.
You need to identify yourself first.
Scal, all around good guy. Playoffs, watching other teams, coaching in it. Have you enjoyed yourself just like maybe the same way you enjoyed yourself in college?
I love the challenge of the coaching in it way more than anything else. Obviously, I said this a couple of days ago. I'm unfortunately not as much of an emotional fan as I used to be. So I watch the games a little bit more technically. But I really enjoy watching the other series. And it's funny. We got the question about Jay's physicality earlier, and the physicality in some of those other series is seemingly much higher than even this one. And I think that I enjoy watching guys compete at the highest level, and I enjoy watching the adjustments. I saw the end of the Bucks Bulls game, incredible ending yesterday. I've watched a lot of the endings of the games. I usually don't pay much attention to the first 3 quarters, but I enjoy the end. And it's fun to watch as a fan. This is a fun time of the year to be a part of it. Hopefully we can live for another day. We'll find out.